I feel like religion has got a bad stick, rightfully so, because religion has been responsible for a lot of negative stuff in society, so therefore it cannot be trusted. And so for me, I would never advocate for people to be like, this is from a church perspective anyway, because that's when it gets sticky and it's subjective. But at the same time, if your religion isn't harmful, then it shouldn't be an issue. So that's why people of faith have to interrogate that and go, well, we have to have some honest conversations about, is there homophobia in Christianity or whatever religion? And if there is, what authority has God given us to then oppress people who identify as LGBT? That's a very different conversation.
What are the little things that you guys do to make your world a better place?
Well, I guess for me, it's about making I show up for my own people and be a part of my community. And again, hold myself accountable to what I say I'm gonna do for them. A big thing with young people is that they lack trust, they lack hope. And I feel like something I do in my organization is show them that that was once me, but also give them a reality and the tools that they need to navigate the rest of their life. Because, you know, there's so many things in this world that I want to change. But I do think that unfortunately we live in a space where we're not setting our young people up to succeed. A lot of the systems are setting them up to fail. And for me, it's about making sure that I'm doing my part in my community, because those young people that I'm impacting could potentially impact someone else, or they break that generational trauma for their children. And hopefully, like, as I do my research, and petitions are great for research, and research helps you get more funding, and research helps you get more time to do the thing that you need to do. It will impact like on a wider scale. But for me, something that's really been important for me is that I'm happy making change within my community, because I know that can make a trickle effect. You know, it's mad great to want to aspire to change the world. I would love that. But I know that I've got to start somewhere, and I'm starting at the heart. And it's really important for me because that relatability and that lived experience piece allows me to give my all. And I don't get tired about that, because, you know, sometimes you do get frustrated, but I never get tired about that, because that is rooted in what I believe in and where my values align.
Yeah, and I mean, I agree. I think there are definitely things that all of us individually can do, right? And especially in relation to the advocacy piece, like petitions, etc. Like I run an advocacy organization, Enact Equality, where we literally do the petitions and we do the co-sign letters and stuff to government ministers. And I definitely think you can see a tangible change when you do certain political processes. So, for example, we did something around Afro hair discrimination, right? And the fact that Black children are sent home from school as a result of having their natural hair, like in afros, locks, twists, braids, and so on. And as a result of the work that we did in that letter, like sending the co-sign letters to the Equality and Human Rights Commission, etc., they published new policy guidance for education providers across England, Scotland, and Wales. And now we're seeing like thousands of schools change their uniform policies to remove clauses that banned afros and braids, etc., so that Black children can go to school with their natural hair. So I think something like that, you could literally see a tangible change from when you began the process to what the end goal was.
The change that me personally, I try to do in my community, and I feel like makes my world a little bit calmer, a little bit more peaceful, is I'll be honest, I just try to spread God's word. I try to evangelize to people, to get them to I don't try to put the Bible on them in any kind of way. I just try to offer it to them, because from my personal experience, that word and his presence brings peace to people. And I feel like even a political sense, like we often talked about that, the distribution of power, and how a lot of people in this world, like, they're not authentic because they say one thing and they go out there and they kind of, oh, I'm in charge now, so I can do what I want. I feel like if we bring Jesus Christ and God into this topic, then all of a sudden it's that humility of like, I need to do what's right for the people, not what's right for me. So for me personally, that's my like personal objective, is try and get as many people, and especially if we can bring that into politics, I just think the world will be such a better place.
It is actually already brought into politics. Like, we've had quite a lot of roundtables with like political leaders and like pastors and church leaders, etc. And I mean, there's also a church underneath Parliament, so like inside Parliament. So like some of the politicians like will go to like will go and pray and stuff like in the middle of the day. So I think there's definitely a relationship there between like social justice and church leaders and politics already.
I feel like you can't stop bringing faith into politics, because it's like it's asking the human not to bring the human into politics. It's a part of you. It shapes your outlook on society. It shapes your sense of what is just, what isn't just, what is good and bad. The politics itself is based on commandments or like God's law, even if we don't use it like that now. But at the same time, I feel like it's your interpretation of faith and what you consider human life to mean and represent that will determine how that religion affects your politics. Because there's atheists who do good. So it's not a condition to be a good person, but faith is supposed to be reflected that those of you who say you're of faith, you represent who you say God's character is. And if you say everyone under God's eyes is equal, he believes that everyone should have access to food, love thy neighbor, all those things, then society shouldn't be bad. But as I said before, it's human beings who are faulty enter that place and they utilize religion. You can utilize any ideology, actually, to progress their gain. So I feel like religion has got a bad stick, rightfully so, because religion has been responsible for a lot of negative stuff in society, so therefore it cannot be trusted. And so for me, I would never advocate for people to be like, this is from a church perspective anyway, because that's when it gets sticky and it's subjective. But at the same time, if your religion isn't harmful, then it shouldn't be an issue. So that's why people of faith have to interrogate that and go, well, we have to have some honest conversations about, is there homophobia in Christianity or whatever religion? And if there is, what authority has God given us to then oppress people who identify as LGBT? That's a very different conversation. That's why people say you can be like, oh, I'm not necessarily for what you do, which I don't even like that concept, but some people say that. But should I then say you should not have access to healthcare? That's not a religious argument. That's somebody saying you're using the authority of God at the end of the day, and that's not for us to do. So that's how I feel about religion. It's not for us to play God, basically.
Yeah, I mean, my thing on religion is if it drives you, then I'm all for it. I always love it. I'm not religious myself, but I am really spiritual in that sense. When you go to a lot of adversity, then you really go to a dark place. You can't help but to believe in like a higher power in that sense. But my role in religion is always playing persons with disability, and in religion, I'm always the charity, I'm always the weak one. And that's why when people do talk about religion to me or say that religion is their drive, I'm always a bit, and then it goes back to your point, they're in a very honest conversation, but not everyone, like you say, wants to have that conversation and can have very tunneled vision as well. And if there was anything in politics, it's that stigmatization of people in general, people with faith, people from marginalized communities, people from care background, people with disability.
I just was gonna say, like, the first thing that came to mind when we like got to the topic of like bringing faith into like politics was, are people really ready to have that conversation though? Because it gets deep. Like, you know, and a lot of people get angry and get triggered, and that can create more conflict and whatnot. And I feel like, you know, we live in a society, unfortunately, where people are not ready to have that conversation. So they sometimes use religion as power. They use religion in a way that it shouldn't be used. They forget where the religion started from. It can become like this game of like, who's better, like in terms of like religion. And it's sad that we even have to sit here and say that people are not really ready to have that conversation, because ultimately, where did religion all like start from?